I always believe that sense of humor is essential to survive to any endeavor. So I will tell you, I'm not a magician. I don't do miracles. But I'll work as hard as possible with all of you to be able to fulfill not only your dreams, but I believe the dreams and the needs of women of the world and girls of the world. But essentially, I would like to say that for me it was very interesting, very, I would say, enriching to hear your different perspective and the different realities and your dreams and your needs. For me, to be the head of UN Women means to work for women in the world, understanding that the situation is not even in the world. It's very different from one part of the world to another, even from one country to another many times. But the challenges that you have named are the challenges that I understand and I see, and I know there are my challenges. It is not easy. I mean, I believe that I can be useful not only as head of UN Women, but because of my former experience and activities. But I know that many of those challenges are very complicated and very complex to solve. But that's why how I am approaching, how can I mean, what I think is that I'm trying to keep in mind what many of you and Cindy said, is how we pass from rhetorics to action. Because I know, I was remembering yesterday in a meeting with Michelle Zidibi and with many groups of women working on women living and girls living with HIV/AIDS, that 10 or 11 years ago I went to Durban to the World Congress of HIV/AIDS, that the name was Break the Silence, and we're still speaking about breaking the silence 10 or 11 years. And that's just an example of many issues that, and you said so many conventions, resolutions being signed, and I can imagine you're thinking, and on next Friday there will be another one, now on education and science and technology. Well, it is a challenge, I have to say, and how we transform the way of doing politics, how we transform the kinds of leadership. I believe in politics where people make commitments, not promises, because commitment is something you really are going to do as much as you can to make it a reality. Sometimes things don't work, but at least you try to do a reality. So what I've been thinking, and I've been working, and I've been talking to the people of UN Women, is that believing that women's rights are human rights, unfortunately, we need to think with the heads of the making decision makers, not only on what we believe in. So we need to build a very strong economic, political, and social case why not investing in women is really a terrible loss from the political dimension, from the economical dimension, and from the social dimension. Because people, head of states, head of governments, parliamentarians, when they discuss budget and so on, need to know exactly what is in the balance, what is the cost, what is the benefit. So we're going to work hard, and I hope we're going to work with you, because many of you name some reports, for example, where we have to really be able to build a strong case, stronger than now. Because it looks like women's rights as human rights hasn't been the key to open all the obstacles and all the doors. We won't forget that, and we'll mention it, but we need other arguments, and so we're going to build a case. And we need to find which are the more effective and efficient strategies. For example, I went to Davos because I wanted to insist on gender parity and also on how corporate sector gets more involved in women issues, and hopefully raise some funds also, of course. And we were talking to people who were completely convinced that gender parity is not only the right thing to do because of justice, or because of capacities, because of that women can provide innovative ideas. Of course, women are the main consumers in the world and so on. But still, I mean, people there completely convinced, still, the percentage of women at high-level positions in the corporate sector or CEO is very low. I mean, the biggest gap is the political one. The second biggest gap is the women and the economy as a global. So that's why I've been trying. I don't have the answers right now. Huh? We're building it. But how? I always, when I work as a trade, I mean, somebody in organizations, in NGOs, in trade unions, when I was at the minister or when I was president, I always try to stand up on the other person's shoes, try to understand why, how come, and then find the best solution, strategies, and so on. So I'll be working on that, and I hope we will work together also on that, on thinking how we build a stronger case for women, because we need to look forward, we need to, probably you will discuss it today, if the strategies that you have done until now has been effective enough. And I think some have been very effective, but some not. And we need to think on that. And my invitation, I would say, is that you will have in You and Women and in me a very open, transparent, and frank dialogue. Because we don't need to talk between us of pirate stories, child stories. We don't need that. We need to think really how we work much harder and much stronger to improve women's life and growth. And it was amazing what you did before, because I'm a pediatrician, and women always start talking before boys, and we never stop. So I will stop here to respect you and receive the questions and try to answer them in a brief way.